Today we're going to be working on making a clay cupcake. We're going to use one part of the clay ball that we have for the topping, so I'm going to set that aside for right now because the first thing I'm going to work on is the cupcake base, which when we finish is going to look something like that. You can probably already tell that it's a pinch pot, so the first thing that we have to do to create a pinch pot is roll that into a ball. Now once I get into a round shape, I don't want to keep rolling and rolling and rolling because I'm going to start drying my clay out. So I'm going to pick a spot. This looks like it already is a good place to make a hole, and I'm going to push in there to create a little dent. Now that I've got that, I'm going to use these pinching fingers to pinch the clay into the shape of a pot. After that, I'm going to put it into this cupcake mold, just like that, and I'm going to press it into the sides because what I really want are these lines to show up on the outside so that it looks like a real cupcake. Alright, and then I've got some excess that's sticking out here. I'm just going to press that down like this. And what's happening is that's going to make a nice edge so that my cupcake top isn't going to fall in. So now that I've got that part done and that's nice and flat so that it's big enough to hold the cupcake topping in, I'm going to peel this off and just turn it inside out into itself. Sometimes it can get to be a little tricky. If you've tried a couple of times and it's not working, just raise your hand. I'll come over and help you pull it off. Now I'm going to set this part aside. I don't need this anymore. And what I'm going to make is the coil topping for the top of my cupcake. So to do that, I'm going to roll this out into a shape something like that. I want to use, first I'll use my fingers to just make it a little bit longer, but once it's wide enough for me to put my palms on it, I'm going to use those because that's going to create a more even coil. And what I'm going for is a coil that isn't broken, a coil that stays long, so you'll have to do this slowly and carefully. So rather than using my fingers that's going to make it all different sizes, I'm going to continue using my palms so that I can get it to be about the same size. The size that I'm looking for is about the width of my finger. So, is this the width of my finger? Well, it is here, but it surely isn't here, so what I want to do is keep on going. So if this part is okay, I can start moving this over and just carefully, don't go too fast, we don't want to break it, roll this part out so that it can start to be the width of my finger also. Oops, okay, so let's see if I've got it about right. That's pretty long and it's practically the width of my finger, so I'm going to take this little template out and use that to help me roll the coil. So I'm going to start off here on the paper and I'm just going to follow this circle all the way around, and I'm going to keep going over and toward the inside. Don't worry about any cracks or anything in the clay that is telling you, hey, it's too dry, it needs a little water. We're going to fix all that at the end. Keep going up to the top. And here we go. Got a nice piece up at the top. Wow, that's going to look great. Before I start smoothing out all of this stuff, I want to go to the inside and make sure that this doesn't fall apart later whenever it's dry. I'm going to just push these pieces in gently, or pull, whatever is easiest for you, just so this is blended into a little bit of a cup shape. Okay, and there we go. And then on this side, I want to get some of this elephant skin off of here because it's a little dry and cracked. That's why it's doing that. And so what I'm going to do is put one finger or two fingers inside to hold it steady while I'm doing this, and then use a bit of my clay slip that I have right over here, and I'm just going to smooth that out to get rid of those cracks. It's going to make it lots easier to paint. And I'm already thinking about what colors I'm going to use. What kind of cupcake frosting am I going to have? Okay, once I've gotten that all smoothed out, I've got a little gap right there, so I'm going to push down on that just a little bit. And if I need to, I can take a little bit of the clay slip on my finger, the muddy part of the clay, and I can fill that in a little bit. And that looks a little bit more like frosting. So you can have gaps like that, or if you want it to look a bit more realistic, remember, keep one finger or two fingers inside so you can hold it in place, and then take a little bit of that clay, that muddy part of the clay, and you can use that to fill in some of those crevices to make it look a bit more like frosting. Okay, just about finished. Now whenever this is complete, what I'm going to do is take my cupcake topper and my cupcake, and I'm going to put both pieces on the wooden tray that has your name on it, and I'm going to carry it into the kiln room and put it wherever my teacher tells me to put it. Or if there's a teacher helper in there, they'll be telling you where to put it. Okay, I think I've got that looking a lot like frosting. Don't want to get it too wet, so I'm going to put both parts here on this tray like this. And you're all set.